Hello, it is week 2. RotoBros, live, start, sit Sunday, week 2 edition. Hopefully week 1 went the way that you had always planned. Starting off with a W. Of course it did. You watched RotoBros live, start, sit Sunday, week 1. So you were already good to go. You knew what was going to happen. You started all the right players. You got the W. Congratulations to you. So week 2 got started off on Thursday with the Giants and the Washington football team, and the big story was Saquon Barkley. Like, what are we going to do with Saquon Barkley? Are we going to start Saquon Barkley? Are we going to bench Saquon Barkley? And my advice to you guys was, look, you're probably going to bench Saquon Barkley. Like, that's probably just what you're going to do, because it was a bad matchup. It was a short week. They already said he was going to limit they were going to limit his touches. Yeah, you probably should have benched Saquon Barkley. Now, starting week 3, you're starting Saquon Barkley moving forward every single week. He's a set-it-and-forget-it player. And I think he's going to be back to his normal workload starting next week. So keep that in mind if you have Saquon Barkley. Moving on, because it's Sunday. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Zach Carlson. Good morning. Good morning, Matt Poe. All right, let's get started. First question of the day. Henry Ruggs or Christian Kirk? Absolutely disgusting question. I don't want to start either one of these guys. There's got to be some better options. But I guess if I have to start one, I think I'm going to go with Christian Kirk. I think you can just, there's a little more volume I think that you can rely on here. I don't think you need, I think you need to go into starting one. Hopefully there's another option for you and you're not forced to start those guys. But if you have to, you're going to start Christian Kirk and you're just going to pretty much pray to whatever fantasy god you're praying to. Javonte Williams, Devontae Smith, or Hollywood Brown in my flex. I'm going to go Devontae Smith. I will note, though, I do love Javonte Williams this week, just like I did last week. And yes, he still outplayed Melvin Gordon. I went over that on the podcast last week. So if you haven't checked that out, check out the RotoBros podcast. You'll hear my whole spiel about Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, how it was a product of variance. It just so happened that Melvin Gordon was on the field when there was a hole in the offensive line for a bus to drive through, and Melvin Gordon was on the field and got that lucky 70-yard touchdown run. Javonte Williams would have had it as well had he been on the field. So it's like, at the very least, he would have had a large gain. You take that 70-yard variance play away, Melvin Gordon didn't do anything special on that play. He ran fast. That's about all he did. So you take that away, Javonte Williams was much more efficient. So I think that's just, and he was the primary rusher. He had a higher snap share, higher target share, a higher rush percentage, So he was used as the primary rusher already in week 1. So I love Javonte Williams, but long-winded answer, it's going to be Devontae Smith. I just think right now, Devontae Smith, to me, I've already told you guys, by the end of the year, I think he's going to be a league winner. But I think this guy's got a ton of talent, and I think you're going to love him, having him in your lineup every single week during the season. Mike Davis or Elijah Mitchell. You got to hate Mike Davis's matchup. Really, both matchups aren't great, to be honest with you. Elijah Mitchell, I think, is a little more explosive, obviously, than Mike Davis. So I'm not going to mess with Mike Davis behind a mediocre offensive line for Atlanta, versus Elijah Mitchell. Look, Philly's run defense isn't bad either. But I think he's got a little more of a shot playing on a better football team to get you some more points than Mike Davis does. And I think, even Matt Ryan agrees. So take that for what it's worth. Go with Elijah Mitchell there. That's going to be your best option, I think. But keep in mind, Trey Sermon is going to be active this week. And I'm a Trey Sermon guy. I don't think Elijah Mitchell is going to get 30 touches like it seems like all the beat writers and Sal Palantonio on ESPN is saying. I think they're both going to be it's going to be almost an even snap or a touch share, I would imagine. But I think both of these guys are decent starts. But you will obviously want to be a little more cautious with Trey Sermon. But yeah, between these guys, I think you got to go Elijah Mitchell here. Najee Harris, DJ Moore, Julio Jones, or Deontay Johnson in the flex. Look, you're never benching Najee Harris. You just can't. He played 100% of the snaps last week. 100%. He was the only running back to play 100% of the snaps. Is that not insane? I told you guys before the season started, in the preseason, all summer long, Najee Harris is going to approach 350 touches. He played 100% of the snaps in week 1. Najee Harris is safe. Chase the volume, chase the touches with the running backs. You cannot take Najee Harris out of your lineup. I don't care what the matchup is. He's going to get so many touches and play so many snaps, it's almost going to even itself out no matter what the matchup is. I don't care if he's playing Aaron Donald. You're starting Najee Harris. Every single week, start Najee Harris. Set it and forget it for Najee. Noah Fant or Dallas Goddard. I will go with Dallas Goddard. I'll go with Dallas Goddard. I don't think either one of them are bad plays, but I will go with Dallas Goddard. I think they're pretty much neck and neck, I think, because now that Jerry Jeudy is out, I think that's going to help Noah Fant. So it's really a coin flip, I think. Very, very close, but I think I'll lean Dallas Goddard just a little bit. Javonte, let's see, that's one I already went over. Kenyon Drake versus the Steelers or Ronald Jones versus the Falcons. Look, I'm going to go Kenyon Drake here. I know the matchup's not great, but he is the primary pass catcher. The Steelers might have a big lead, and if that's the case, they're going to be throwing the football to Kenyon Drake. People are adding Peyton Barber like Peyton Barber is going to be something. Like, let's pump the brakes. Like, Peyton Barber might cuck a 1-yard touchdown on the goal line from Kenyon Drake. And look, that may be all you're looking for in your lineup. But if you're thinking that he's going to be scoring 2-3 touchdowns and have close to 100 yards, no, he's not going to be the featured back. Kenyon Drake's going to be the featured back. I don't care who's starting or taking over Josh Jacobs. Kenyon Drake's going to be the featured back. He's going to be the one playing the most snaps, getting the higher target percentage. He's the running back to own in this backfield while Josh Jacobs is out. So I'm going to go with Kenyon Drake. If Ronald Jones was not in a 3-man rotation and did not put the ball on the ground all the time, it seems, and get him the Bruce Arians doghouse, I would say probably play the matchup with Ronald Jones, but I'm not doing that with Leonard Fournette and Giovanni Bernard. This is a nasty backfield, a nasty 3-way rotation. Don't get into bed with it because it's only going to be a problem. Temper expectations for both these players. I'm not saying Drake's going to have a RB1 day, but I think if you were to choose a guy who's gonna be closer to having that RB1 sort of fantasy day, I think it would be Kenyon Drake. So give me Kenyon Drake. I think the floor is higher as well for him. Miles Sanders or David Montgomery. I'm going to go David Montgomery pretty much every single week. I like the matchup this week against Cincinnati as well. Miles Sanders looked good. Miles Sanders is a good football player. The problem is Kenny Gainwell is going to be involved, and I've said this all summer long. This is going to be a committee. It's the further we go into the season, the bigger of a committee it is going to be. Kenny Gainwell is going to be heavily involved on this team, and he's a good football player as well. So, I think he may end up as the primary pass catcher, which obviously is going to cap Miles Sanders' fantasy value as the weeks go along. So, I'm going to go David Montgomery. I think he's better. Obviously, he's the primary workhorse in this backfield. I'm not worried about Damian Williams and even Tariq. It's David Montgomery. David Montgomery and look, David Montgomery's only going to get better when Justin Fields is on the field. And speaking of Justin Fields, reports are coming out this morning right before we got on air here that he's going to see an increased amount of the workload this week. So we're going to see a little bit more of a QB rotation, I think, a QB committee in Chicago. It's like, just go ahead and start the guy. You got Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald out of the way. Go ahead and bench Andy Dalton and give him a good start against Cincinnati. It doesn't make any sense to me. Bench, you don't owe Andy Dalton anything. Like, your job's on the line. You are a playoff team. You made the playoffs last year with Mitchell Trubisky. Put Justin Fields. It doesn't make any sense. It drives me insane. Anyway, David Montgomery is the answer there. CEH or Damien Harris in a standard league? I'm going to go Damien Harris just based on matchup this week. I'm going to go Damien Harris playing the Jets. Todd Cross says start Renfro or Waddle. I'll go with Waddle. I can't. Renfro's he's going to be a low volume player and he doesn't have a high ceiling. At least Waddle has a chance to catch. Renfro might catch more passes, but it'll be like 6 catches for like 42 yards or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be spectacular at all. Waddle might have 3 or 4 catches, but one of them might be a 72-yard touchdown. You know what I mean? So I just think Waddle's probably the higher ceiling play. That's probably where I'm going to go. If I don't have better options than that, I'll take the high ceiling play, to be honest with you. Elijah Mitchell or Damien Harris. I will go with Damien Harris based on matchup. And look, it's not. I do think Elijah Mitchell is a decent start today, but you got to remember, again, that Philly run defense is good. And do you really trust Kyle Shanahan? Trey Sermon's coming back. They traded up for him in the 3rd round. He's going to be involved. Do you really trust that Kyle Shanahan is going to make Elijah Mitchell a workhorse? I don't. So you got to kind of be a little careful with that. Damien Harris is the starter. He's going to get obviously the vast majority of the touches going up against the Jets. Give me Damien Harris. It's easy for me. Jason Van Hughes says BMW, Big Mike Williams or Christian Kirk. I'll go BMW. I'm not excited about it, but I'll go with BMW. Jason says, time to hit the preacher bench, my dude. I don't know what that means, but feel free to enlighten me. Play Singletary over Debo this week? Absolutely. Absolutely not. I had to keep from cursing there. No, you're not gonna bench Debo for just a guy, Devin Singletary, who's not any good when he's the starter when Zach Moss is deactivated. And now Zach Moss is back in the mix. I like Zach Moss in this backfield more than Devin Singletary. Not really saying much. But yeah, Debo's got a good matchup this week against Philly. Give me Debo. Zach Carlson, pick one. Kirk, Hollywood Brown, or Jalen Waddle. I'll go Jalen Waddle. I'll take Jalen Waddle there. Kirk would be close. I'm not crazy about any of these guys, but I think if I had to take, they're all 3 high ceiling plays. So I'll go Jalen Waddle and with Christian Kirk followed close behind. PPR Drake or Rojo. It's going to be Kenyon Drake for me. Miles Sanders or Allen Robinson. Look, I told you to bench Allen Robinson last week. He was going up against It wasn't, bench Allen Robinson because he's going up against Jalen Ramsey. It was bench Allen Robinson. I don't care how many targets he's projected to get. The quality of targets was never going to be good. Allen Robinson was going up against a trifecta of problems. Andy Dalton as his quarterback. Andy Dalton as his quarterback while getting chased by Aaron Donald. Andy Dalton as his quarterback by getting chased by Aaron Donald while he's trying to get the ball to Allen Robinson while Allen Robinson is covered by Jalen Ramsey. No thank you. It was never going to be a good play, and obviously it proved out to be. Now, I don't care what the matchup is because he's not going to play. He's not going to have the worst matchup that he's going to see all year for the rest of the season. Allen Robinson is a set-it-and-forget-it player. Don't care who the quarterback is. Don't care what the matchup is the rest of the year. You're starting Allen Robinson week in and week out because he's never, maybe in the rest of his career, he may not face a worse fantasy situation than what he did in week 1. So Allen Robinson, if you've got an Allen Robinson question, the answer is likely going to be Allen Robinson. So yes, Allen Robinson over Miles Sanders every single week. Elijah or Drake, I will go with Elijah this week, but it is close. It is close. I do think Drake probably has a higher floor, to be quite honest with you. For my 3rd wide receiver spot, debating between Jalen Reagor, Devontae Parker, and Tyler Boyd, I will go with Jalen Reagor over Parker and Boyd. It's close between Boyd and Reagor, but I'll go Jalen Reagor. Start the safer play of Waddle versus Buffalo or Sermon versus Philly. That's a good question. I think you need to be careful with both of them because I don't think either one of them is necessarily going to have a great day. I said start Waddle to somebody else just because I think it was the best option over a guy like Hunter Renfrow. It's hard to trust Kyle Shanahan, and I want to say Sermon. But I can't trust Kyle. Normally, you ask me this in week 7, the answer is probably going to be Trey Sermon. I guess play Waddle. I guess play Waddle this week. It's really flip a coin. Trust your gut, whichever way you want to go. But I can't trust Kyle Shanahan, and because I can't trust Shanahan, I can't give you a confident answer here. So it's going to be Waddle for me, but I can't crucify anybody if they choose Trey Sermon this week, to be honest with you. Full point PPR, need one flex. Chase Edmonds, Damien Harris, Robbie Anderson, or Elijah. It's not Elijah, it's not Robbie, and it's not going to be Chase. It's going to be Damien Harris, just based on the matchup. So give me Damien Harris there. James Heslin says, Cortland Sutton or Devontae Smith in standard. I like both of these guys. I like Cortland Sutton obviously a little bit more now that Jerry Jeudy's going to be missing about 6 to 8 weeks. But I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. There's a higher ceiling play. I think he's a better player. And he's on an offense he's got a better quarterback. He's got an offense that's just going to throw a lot more. So go ahead and give me Devontae Smith there. DJ Moore, Jamar Chase, or Brandon Cooks. I will go Jamar Chase, Brandon Cooks, DJ Moore in that order. I have Williams and Gordon both in PPR. I need to put one in the flex today. Look, I'm probably never going to tell you to start Melvin Gordon over Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams, I've said from the get-go, is going to turn into the primary running back in this backfield. It happened in week 1. He got a higher rush percentage. He is the primary rusher on this football team, and it's only a matter of time until he's the primary receiving back as well and more of the workhorse. Okay? And look, Melvin Gordon struggles with injuries anyway, so it's only probably a matter of time before he's dinged up and dealing with a nagging injury. So it's Javonte Williams for me. And I'm not saying Javonte Williams is going to rush for 100 yards and score 2 touchdowns, but I do believe he's going to have a better game than and be more efficient than Melvin Gordon. Debo, Samuel, Sutton, or Tyson in the flex. It's going to be Debo, Samuel for me. Robert Lewis, Kirk Cousins, Ben Roethlisberger. I have Deontay Johnson if that matters. I think Kirk is the better fantasy option, but if you have Ben Roethlisberger, I think the tiebreaker there for me is the stack. So I'm going to go Ben Roethlisberger here. I'm going to go Ben Roethlisberger in that stack. TSW, or especially with the I think it's a pretty decent matchup as well. Ashton Martin says TSW or Woods. Standard at the flex this week. I will go with Robert Woods. TSW, look, I think there's going to be several Tyson questions, I think, throughout this show. Tyson, I don't think he's a bad play, but you've got to be careful with Tyson because now they're talking about hot hand at running back. I do think he is going to be the hot hand. He is the most explosive running back on this team. He's the best running back on this team. He is also the primary pass catcher, which we saw last week. Now, he did blow a pass pro blitz pickup assignment, which led to a Lamar Jackson fumble, which essentially changed the game. So that's why you didn't see a lot of him in the second half, and Latavius Murray was mainly the guy. I don't think that's going to be the case this week. I think Tyson is going to be, we're going to see more of Tyson than anybody else. And if the Ravens have to throw to keep up, Tyson's the primary pass catcher. So I think you could get some garbage receptions as well out of that. So TSW is not a bad play, but you do have to kind of work with some caution. But I'm not starting him over Robert Woods. I'm just not doing that. Thielen or Juju Smith-Schuster, listen, you're not benching Adam Thielen. He's an every week start. You're not benching Adam Thielen, period. Set it and forget it. Adam Thielen is the guy. He was always the better wide receiver than Stephon Diggs when they played together, and he's just as good, arguably still better than Justin Jefferson. So look, it's Adam Thielen. It's always Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen over Juju. You can always he's gonna get more targets, more volume, and he's just a better football player, right? Goddard or Jared Cook. I will go with Goddard, but I don't think Jared. But I think Dallas Goddard. You drafted him to be your tight end 1 for the majority of the year. So Dallas Goddard to me is the option there. Zach Carlson, Higbee or Tunyon. I will go with Robert Tunyon. Todd Cross, 1 for my flex PPR. Javonte Williams, Christian Kirk. Sorry. Christian Kirk, Javonte Williams, or Damien Harris. I will go with Damien Harris, Javonte Williams, and Christian Kirk in that order. So Damian's going to be the option there. Also, Kmet or Juwan Johnson as my tight end. I will go Cole Kmet. I'm going to go Cole Kmet only because I think he's going to see a higher amount of volume. Keep in mind, everybody's like, oh, Juwan Johnson caught 2 touchdowns. But if you did not listen to the podcast last week, you may want to go back and listen to what I said after week 1. We did the show. I did the show Wednesday night, I think, but you can find the RotoBros podcast. Listen to and I'm telling you right now, Adam Troutman saw more snaps and saw significantly more snaps and saw more targets. So just Juwan Johnson, again, a product of variance. Juwan Johnson just saw the 2 touchdowns. So what are we to make of that? Is Juwan Johnson? We're going to need a higher sample size. But you need to be cautious with Juwan Johnson. I do tend to think that Juwan Johnson's going to wind up, when it's all said and done, as the primary pass-catching tight end. But at the same time, you got to be careful because Adam Troutman played more snaps, saw more targets. And it just so happened that he didn't see those 2 touchdowns. So if that trend continues, that is not a trend with as little amount of targets as Juwan Johnson saw. That's not something that you can rely on based on that target and snap share. You can't rely on these touchdowns. Adam Troutman would be the tight end to own. Not just yet. Let's get through a couple more weeks and let's see what we're looking at. But right now, I think I'm going to go with Cole Kmet over Juwan Johnson, just based pure on volume, I think. Let's go to Deontay Johnson or Debo for the flex. I will go with I'll go with Debo just for I think more of an upside. I do think that Deontay Johnson may have more targets, may have a little more volume, but I do think Debo may be able to do a little bit more with his touches and break off maybe a big, obviously a big run, big handoff, big reception as well. So it's close for me. I'm not gonna crucify anybody for taking Deontay Johnson here, but I'm gonna go with Debo just based on matchup as well. And of course, we'll see how involved Brandon Ayuk is. But look, it's gonna be his first game of the season. We'll see how much they trust him. We'll see how many snaps he plays, but I'm going to go Debo this week. Daniel Sizemore, you are not going to go Debo. You're going to go with Mike Evans. Matthew Bright, Rankum, TSW, Mitchell, Hines. I will go with Mitchell, TSW, and Hines in that order. Let's see. Morning, Chris. Am I picking Juju or Kirk? You are taking Juju Smith-Schuster every single week over Christian Kirk because he is more reliable. Let's see. Robert Lewis, start 2 in PPR. Antonio Brown, go ahead and start Antonio Brown. I see the other names there. Antonio Brown, it's automatic. He's playing Atlanta. You're starting Antonio Brown. Devontae Smith is going to be your other one. The other options are Marquez Callaway or Hollywood Brown. You're starting Antonio Brown and Devontae Smith. Don't even think about it. DeAndre Swift or Damien Harris. DeAndre Swift is supposed to play Monday. He should be fine. If you can, get DeAndre Smith in your flex. That way you have more options, just in case something bizarre happens and he doesn't play. That way at least you can take him out of your lineup and then choose from all of your running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, and maybe have a little bit more, even though it's Monday night, you'll have a little bit more options, a little bit more flexibility in your lineup. So I'm going to go Swift because of the upside, and he's a better player. And he's supposed to play. There shouldn't be any issue there. But in case something crazy happens, get him in your flex just in case. Randy Sturm, Mike Evans, Tyson Williams, or Rondale Moore. You're not benching ever. You're never benching Mike Evans for any of those guys, ever. I don't care what the matchup is. Mike Evans is going to be the choice over those guys every single time. PPR, flex, need one. Drake, Sutton, Jamal Williams, Aguilar, or Gronk. You are going to go with Sutton and Drake in that order. Those are going to be your top two there. T. Higgins or Elijah Mitchell, I will go with T. Higgins. Deontay Johnson, Robert Woods, Jarvis Landry, pick 2. Give me Deontay. Give me... definitely Deontay Johnson. Give me Robert. No, give me Jarvis Landry. If Odell's not playing this week, so if OBJ was playing, I would say go with Robert Woods. Give me Landry. Give me Deontay Johnson. Full PPR, yeah, give me those two guys. Let's see. Kittle is my tight end. Andre Robinson. Kittle is my tight end. Need a flex, non-PPR. So we got a standard league here. Claypool, Gronk, Tyson, Landry, or Darrell Henderson. I'll go with Darrell Henderson and then Chase Claypool. Those would be my top two there. Jeremy Lewis, shout out to the RotoBros. I posted my lineup for you. I need reassurance about starting Mike Evans and Antonio Brown the flex against Atlanta with Chase and Devontae Smith on the bench. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think starting both of them, I don't want to say is like counterproductive because I think both of them could, especially in this matchup, both of them could have a great game. But I do think they're both probably better plays than Chase and Devontae Smith. But you got a good problem, man. Like, you've got a hell of a problem. I think if I had to bench somebody, it would be Mike Evans over Antonio Brown because I think Antonio Brown's going to see more targets. But I can't argue with you starting both of them. I just can't. If that's what your gut tells you, go with it. I'm not going to argue with you. I think the matchup is too good. It's just way too good. Debo or Jamar Chase over DeAndre Swift with the questionable tag in flex PPR. I'm taking DeAndre Swift. I'm rolling the dice on DeAndre Swift over both those guys. But it would be DeAndre, Jamar Chase, Debo Samuel in that order for me. Nelson Aguilar, Melvin Gordon. Sorry, I just lost that. Nelson Aguilar, Melvin Gordon, Marvin Jones, Myles Gaskin, flex PPR. I will go with... I don't want to go Myles Gaskin. That's tough to go Myles Gaskin with that matchup. But he should see the majority of the touches. I'm going to go Myles Gaskin, just based off workload, based on the volume of touches that he should probably see. Go ahead and give me Myles Gaskin. I don't think you should be excited for any of these guys, just for what it's worth. But I'm going to take the guy that's probably going to get the majority of the touches out of all of them. Give me Myles Gaskin. He'll get the most opportunity, I should say. Claypool or Chenault. It's Claypool every single week. I'm not worried about You guys know. Most of you guys know like my feelings on LSJ. Guys like LSJ and Paris Campbell, they're the same guy. Spot the difference. There's not one. They're the same person. So LSJ's just not a guy that he's good in real life, but he's not going to be a guy in season-long managed leagues where you're going to be like, oh, I can trust LSJ. I can trust Laviska Shenault. He's not going to be a guy. Claypool's going to be your option there. This one hurts and is a disgusting choice, says Todd Krause, since I lost Judy in a deep league. But Devontae Parker, Deontay Harris, or Brandon Ayuk, you're going to take the talent there. You're going to go with Brandon Ayuk. You're going to take the talent on the better football team. It's Brandon Ayuk. J. Cliff Seeley says Elijah Mitchell, Javonte Williams, or Damien Harris. Harris, Mitchell, Williams in that order. Thomas Walter, standard scoring. Mitchell, Hunt, Gordon. You're going to go with Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt's got a great matchup this week against Houston. Look, Nick Chubb's going to have a great game, but I think both these guys could be RB1s in fantasy this week, both of them. So I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt over Mitchell and Gordon, but Mitchell would be my number 2 in that scenario. Jeffrey Joyner, pick 4: Adams, Thielen, Lockett, Godwin, Evans, or Cooks. Jesus. Well, you're not benching Devontae Adams, and you're never benching Adam Thielen. So those 2 are a lock, and I think so is Lockett. So that's 3. So this is between Evans, Cooks, and Gordon. Evans, Cooks, and Godwin. You're not playing Brandon Cooks over Godwin or Evans. And now it's between Evans or Godwin. So I mean, it's flip a coin, man. I think Godwin... I think Evans has a better chance to catch like a huge touchdown, but I think Godwin's going to get more volume. So it's like, I don't think you can go wrong. Just trust your gut on that one. That's what I can say. But obviously, the first 3, Devontae Adams, Adam Thielen, Tyler Lockett, you're never benching those guys. You just can't. Between Godwin and Evans, I mean, I'd just flip a coin there. Hey, look to trade one of them. I mean, if you've got these wide receivers, unless it's an 8-man league, if you've got these wide receivers, that tells me that you might be able to use some running back help, Jeffrey. So I would look to maybe trade Godwin or Evans maybe after this week, whichever one blows up this week or has the higher fantasy value after this week. I would maybe look to trade one. They're both going to be excellent throughout the season. Godwin may have more trade value right now, but I think you could look to trade one of these guys for some running back or maybe even tight end help. Facebook user because it doesn't say their name. So Facebook user Godwin or CEH in the flex. Godwin. I'm going to go Godwin. I just think, it's hard to trust CEH right now until we see him do it. And even after week 1, look, rebuild offensive line. Even this week, they're going to be against the Ravens. May not be a great week for CEH. They're probably going to be throwing the ball a lot, I think. I'm going to go with Godwin. I think Godwin's a safe play, and I think he's probably going to be the higher ceiling play as well. So give me Godwin. Gregory Clucker says, standard scoring, Elijah Mitchell or Javonte Williams. I will go Elijah Mitchell just by a little bit here. I wouldn't blame you if you went Javonte Williams. I think he's a better player by a good margin, but I'll go Elijah Mitchell just by a hair. But keep in mind, I think Javonte Williams, obviously, he has a better matchup. Philly's run defense, their pass defense, their run defense is good. So keep that in mind as you make your decision. If your gut says Javonte Williams, I think it's close enough to where you can go with Javonte Williams. It's not like a blowout for Elijah. I think I would probably lean Elijah just a little bit, but it's definitely a coin flip in my opinion. Sutton, BMW, or Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman's not even guaranteed to play, unfortunately. I think he's going to, but as of right now, he's not even guaranteed to play. So I'm going to go with Courtland Sutton. He's the clear wide receiver 1 now on that team. Jerry Jeudy's out. It's a good matchup against Jacksonville. Give me Courtland Sutton for sure. Matthew Bright, TSW, Hunt, Hines, or Mitchell. I will go in order. I will go Hunt, Mitchell, TSW, Hines. Hunt, Mitchell, TSW, Hines. So it's going to be Kareem Hunt for me. Shenault, Gordon, Ingram, or Waddle. Chenault, Gordon, Ingram, or Waddle. Boy, that is not a... I do not envy you this week. I think I'm going to go Waddle. You can't trust Ingram with this matchup against the Browns. They're probably going to be behind, I would imagine, so they're going to have to throw. I don't think that's going to be Ingram's... that's going to be his wheelhouse there. So you're not going to play Ingram. I'm not comfortable with you playing Melvin Gordon, but I do think Melvin Gordon is probably your second best option here. So I'm gonna go Waddle. I'll take the higher ceiling play. I'll take the highest ceiling play with Jalen Waddle this week. Adam Ailman says, think I missed your question. Dallas Goddard or Jared Cook this week? I will go with Dallas Goddard again. I think Jared Cook is a good stream play, but you drafted Dallas Goddard to be your number one tight end. He's obviously the number one guy now. It looks like he is, after 1 week at least, it looks like he is relegated Zach Ertz as the number one guy. Ertz is still going to get his, don't get me wrong, but I still think that that Dallas Goddard is going to be the guy that you're going to play for the majority of the year. Darrell Henderson or Kenyon Drake. It's going to be Darrell Henderson for me over Kenyon Drake. Really, Kenyon Drake's matchup is not great, so you got to keep that in mind. That's got to be taken into account. But again, if they get behind, Drake is the primary pass catcher here. So it may not be as terrible as a matchup as we think, but I'm still going to go with Darrell Henderson playing the Colts rather than Drake playing the Steelers defense. I feel a little bit better about it. Debo versus Deandre Harris. This is obvious. You can cut Deandre Harris as far as I'm concerned. He is not going to be a reliable source for fantasy points. He's just not. He's not at all. You can cut him to find someone who's going to get more volume and give you a higher odds of getting fantasy points week to week. And you are never benching Deebo Samuel for him ever. You're going to take the talent, you're going to take the volume, you're going to take the better football team every single time. It's going to be Deebo Samuel. Ashton Martin says CEH or TSW in standard. I'll go with CEH. If it was PPR, I'd say TSW, just because I think he's going to catch some passes this week, but it'll be CEH, I guess, just since he's on the better offense, better team, hoping for a goal line touch there in standard. Kenny Facello says Kirk or Callaway. Now I think it's the time where we can get a little more. Last week Marquez Callaway was dealing with Jair Alexander. Wasn't a great matchup. Now I think Marquez Callaway can start to get back on board here. We can get back on board with Marquez Callaway. It's going to be Marquez Callaway for me for sure. I think he's going to get a lot more volume than Christian Kirk, more than likely as well. Brennan Richardson, Dak or Herbert. Look, you're not going to bench. You're never benching Dak. You're just not. It's Dak Prescott every single week over Justin Herbert. Dak Prescott for sure. Todd Krause says, Superflex start 2 quarterbacks, Herbert, Lamar, Cousins, Burrow. I'm going with Burrow, and I'm going with Lamar. You're never really going to bench Lamar. You can't. And Joe Burrow, to me, is going to be the better fantasy quarterback out of the rest of them. So give me Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson the rest of the season. Christian Lopez, Adam Thielen. You're never benching. There it is. You're never benching Adam Thielen. You're playing him over Corey Davis every single week. You're never benching Adam Thielen for Corey Davis. I don't care what the matchup is. And you're never going to do it for Kareem Hunt either. It's going to be Adam Thielen every single week. Hunt or Sutton, says Matthew Bright. I will go with Hunt. I'll go with Kareem Hunt over Cortland Sutton. Sammy Watkins or Mike Williams. I don't trust Sammy Watkins as far as I can throw him. Pun intended. Give me BMW there. Landry or Antonio Brown. Both are good plays. But I think Landry is a better play obviously in PPR than he is in standard. So it's a standard league. Even if it was PPR, I'm still going Antonio Brown because the crazy good matchup. They both have good matchups, but I trust Antonio Brown more. He's a better football player. Scott says, I need one, Ingram or A.J. Dillon, and down to these two. Good Lord. It's going to be, I don't like either one of them this week. Temper expectations to the utmost degree. Give me Mark Ingram, though. Jason Van Hughes says, start your studs. I have Aaron Jones and Jonathan Taylor with Hunt on the bench. Right move and standard, yes. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit closer if it was PPR because, Jonathan Taylor's not going to catch Jonathan Taylor is in the Nick Chubb category. As long as Nyheim Hines is healthy, he's in the Nick Chubb category because Nick Chubb's not going to be the primary pass catcher. Jonathan Taylor's not going to be the primary pass catcher. That's Nyheim Hines. It's Kareem Hunt in Cleveland. But Jonathan Taylor's too good to bench him. Nick Chubb's too good when he does get his touches to bench him. You're obviously not benching Aaron Jones. So yeah, you're going with Aaron Jones and Jonathan Taylor over Hunt essentially every week. Jason says, need to drop someone to pick up a kicker. Ayuk or Shenault, you're dropping Laviska Shenault. 100%. Don't even think twice about it. Zach Carlson, do we trust Ayuk to get back on track this week? It's Kyle Shanahan, so anything is possible. I think Ayuk is the best receiver on that football team. I stand firm on that. I've been saying it since he was drafted. And he's obviously the most dynamic player on that team, which is saying something because he plays on the same team with Deebo Samuel. I won't say with conviction that he, that he gets back on track and you can trust him, but obviously you may want to have him in your lineup. Not a terrible matchup either. So, for me, I think Ayuk is a pretty decent start today if you have him. Fire up Elijah Moore with no Crowder or Mims, or start Pittman. Well, Pittman, you got to watch the answer is Elijah Moore. So let's get to why. No Crowder, no Mims. Okay, and so that's going to be more slot snaps for Elijah Moore. Keep expectations in check. However, Michael Pittman, if he plays, is going to be going up against Jalen Ramsey. And I don't think you can really trust him in that situation that much. But if he plays, I am going to trust him more than Elijah Moore. I have to. But it's close. Flip a coin, trust your gut on that one. You try to find another option if you have them, because I don't think you can trust either one of these guys. But I will go with the better offense, and hopefully there's a play where Jalen is not shadowing Michael Pittman, and you're able to kind of keep him. Maybe he's able to do something. I just think you got to be careful and watch that news wire. I would imagine we're going to have a news alert here coming in shortly about Michael Pittman to see if he's going to play. But it would be Pittman tentatively for me, but obviously if he doesn't play, it's easy for you. It's Elijah Moore. Carson, Kupp, Swift, and Robinson, pick two. I'll go Deandre Swift, and I'll go with Cooper Kupp. Deandre Swift and Cooper Kupp. If it was standard, I'd probably go with Chris Carson. But because it's PPR, I'm definitely going to go Cooper Kupp, and I'll go with Deandre Swift. You're staying away from James Robinson this week. Broncos defense, no thank you. Terrible matchup. Robert Lewis, drop Cousins, Drake for Big Ben. No, I don't think you need to drop them. I think Big Ben, if you have a Steelers receiver and you're starting them, Big Ben's probably a better play this week than Kirk. But in season, like rest of the season, you're definitely not dropping Kenyon Drake. Kirk Cousins, to me, is going to be the better. I've had him ranked higher from the beginning. Kirk Cousins, to me, is going to be the better fantasy quarterback this year. So for me, it is going to be you're not going to drop Kirk Cousins for Big Ben. Todd Krause, 1 point PPR. Jamar Chase, DJ Chark, Hardman, or Callaway. Forget Mecole Hardman. Mecole Hardman is not going to do anything for you in fantasy. He's just not. He's not going to be a reliable asset for you. You can find a better option than him on the waiver wire. So you can just get rid of Mecole Hardman. Jamar Chase is the easy choice here. Jamar Chase, Marquez Callaway, and DJ Chark in that order for me. Baker Mayfield versus Houston, Tyrod Taylor versus Cleveland, Cousins versus Arizona. You're never going to bench Kirk Cousins for either of these guys. I don't care what Baker Mayfield's matchup is. You're starting Kirk Cousins every week, so it's Kirk Cousins. David Martinez, Pats D versus Jets, Rams versus Indy. Give me the Pats versus the Jets. I don't think either one of them are bad plays this week, but give me the Pats versus the Jets. Quarterback starter, Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert. I don't think you can ever bench Russell Wilson for Justin Herbert, so give me Russell Wilson. Jonathan says, Javonte Williams or Miles Sanders. I will go with Miles Sanders, but I think this is going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think. I will go with Miles, but this is going to be a lot closer, I think, this week than a lot of people believe. Herbert or Burrow, give me Joe Burrow for sure. Let's see. What's up, McConnell? Been a minute. What's going on? Good to see you. PPR, Juju, BMW, Rager, or DJ Chark start one. I have CD Lamb in my other slot. I will go with Juju Smith-Schuster. I think he's probably, it would be Juju, Rager, Chark, and then BMW in that order. I think they're all pretty close, but to me, Juju has the better chance to have a big fantasy week than the rest of these guys. In flex PPR, Juju Smith-Schuster, Tim Patrick, Nelson Aguilar, or Mike Davis. Give me Juju, Tim Patrick, Mike Davis, Nelson Aguilar in that order. There you go. Those are the 4. And I don't trust Aguilar or Mike Davis this week. Tim Patrick is a good play if you're desperate. Is a good desperation wide receiver play because Jerry Jeudy's out. But I'm going to take Juju Smith-Schuster over those guys in a pretty sizable manner, to be honest with you. Jason says half-point PPR, Drake or Antonio Brown. Thanks again. It would typically be a closer matchup if Drake was like playing the Texans. But he's not. He's playing the Steelers. So, it's Antonio Brown's playing the Falcons. And even, like I said, even Matt Ryan agrees that you should start Antonio Brown. So go with Antonio Brown pretty much in blowout fashion there. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Looks like that's going to be all the questions for right now. If there are any more, I'll try to answer them off air. But I got to go set my lineups and get ready for the day as well. You guys enjoy the games. Best of luck in week 2. Unless you're playing me, I am out.